Hello everybody, I'm Barry, and today I've got quite a loaded and controversial video, and that is Boruto versus Naruto. Now, I know the thumbnail shows Hokage Naruto versus Borushiki, and I will be addressing that matchup, but this video encompasses many forms of Boruto versus many forms of Naruto. And actually, to be specific, I will be covering base Genin Naruto versus base Genin Boruto, QB Enraged Naruto versus Karma Seal Boruto, and then of course Borushiki versus current Naruto. And I would do Borushiki versus like Nine-Tail Cloak Naruto or maybe like Four Tails Naruto or something like that, but it's sort of an obvious stomp in favor of Boruto. Borushiki is just ridiculous, and the fact that he's even competing with people like Boro just shows he's way beyond characters like Nine-Tails Cloak Naruto when he was a Genin or something like that. So yeah, it's a complete mismatch, and I think the most interesting fight anyways would be the two current versions of the characters. But before I really get into it, I want to say this video is completely anime canon, so no manga stuff. I don't even read the manga, so all of you that are anime only fans, you guys are safe. This video is safe to watch. Like and subscribe. Okay, so the first fight I will be going over is, like I said, base OG Naruto versus base Boruto, and this one is actually a weird matchup. I mean, anything with base Naruto in OG is kind of weird because OG Naruto has kind of a ridiculous range of power depending on if he wants to save his friends or not. If he cares enough, he'll just do Kage level feats like they're nothing, but if he doesn't care, he's literally brain dead. So I think it's fair for me to separate those two versions of Naruto. Like, for example, Naruto was able to stomp Mizuki, who was a Chunin before Naruto was even a Genin, by making like thousands of shadow clones and just beating him. But then on the other hand, you have Chunin exams Naruto barely being able to beat Kiba after just getting slapped around multiple times. So I think it's fair to separate these two and put them both against base Boruto, who is obviously much more stable in power throughout the series, which is definitely a plus I give to the Boruto series. They're actually quite consistent with power levels. The only real feat that I could say for Boruto that is kind of ridiculous is the fact that he killed Momoshiki, but that was with the help of Naruto. We don't know how much the Jogan helped with that, so overall Boruto is much more stable. Now, it probably goes without saying that base Naruto, without this urge to save his friends or whatever, just gets absolutely finessed and fondled by base Boruto. Base Genin Naruto has shadow clones and Rasengan depending on how far throughout the series you want to go. I'll give him both of them. I'll give him shadow clones and Rasengan, because Boruto has just so much more. Shadow clones, Rasengan, he has multiple different versions of the Rasengan, tons of wind style jutsu, lightning style, and more that I even care to mention. Boruto is more like Sasuke. He's at the time much more analytical than Naruto, which isn't really a crazy feat because, like I said, Naruto at this point is brain dead. So yeah, Boruto stomps mid-diff. I don't think anyone wants to debate that at all, because this next matchup with Naruto that actually tries is quite different. And the only reason Boruto wins mid-diff instead of low-diff is because Naruto's durability is ridiculous. Like, killing Naruto in general is probably impossible, but Boruto would definitely technically win. Now, the version of Naruto that I'm much more interested in is Enraged Naruto, not Enraged QB Naruto, just Naruto that actually cares, because he's able to tap into Jonin level power, sometimes even Kage level power, without even the aid of the Nine-Tails. So to start, I think I'm just going to show the biggest strength feat from base Boruto and compare it to the strongest base Naruto feat, which in my opinion is probably beating a tailed beast, which is obviously a Kage level feat, but yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Boruto's strongest feat in base is probably defeating Ao or hitting Momoshiki with a vanishing Rasengan. And like I said, I would count Boruto hitting Momoshiki and killing him as a feat, but it was Naruto's Rasengan, and we really don't know how much the Jogan helps in that. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip that. But Boruto defeating Ao is definitely a crazy feat, and probably puts him near Jonin level, if not above that, because Ao, obviously being an outer Kara member, we know how strong he was in the war, and he's only stronger now that he has all this crazy tech. So he's definitely no joke. But the fight isn't as cut and dry as Boruto just beating Ao. He needed help from the rest of Team 7 to drain his chakra a lot and wear him down. Boruto basically beat a drained, low Kage level fighter at best, which is impressive, but it's really nothing compared to base Naruto summoning Gamabunta, one of the strongest summonings at the time, and then fighting a transformed Gaara, then fighting the full One-Tails by himself. Now, obviously, Biju level pretty much constitutes Kage level. Gaara with the One-Tails fully transformed is pretty much Kage level, and Naruto beating him by himself with his own summoning is something that not Boruto or any of the other genin in the series could even fathom doing. So it pretty much goes without saying, Naruto most likely takes this fight just because of his sheer chakra reserves and attack power. Like what does anyone think Boruto is feasibly doing against Gamabunta, who is stomping whole forests with every single movement? The answer is nothing. Boruto is not anywhere near Biju level, and Naruto in base proved that he is. So Naruto that doesn't have any urge to save his best friend Sasuke gets stomped by Boruto, but Naruto that decides to try stomps Boruto. So yeah, that's that fight. Depending on what Naruto wants to do, he either stomps or gets stomped. But the next fight is Kyuubi Enraged Naruto versus Karma Seal Boruto. So the Naruto that clapped Haku versus the Boruto that is more or less on par with Kawaki, who absolutely demolished Garo. The Boruto that can teleport himself and others. The Boruto that can absorb all ninjutsu, etc, etc. And I understand that Boruto does not have full control over these powers, but he was able to teleport Ishiki perfectly into Momoshiki's dimension with no prep. So yeah, I'm just gonna assume that he can use these powers for the sake of the plot. If he can do it to Ishiki, he can do it to anyone, realistically. Meaning Naruto is basically limited to his taijutsu, which doesn't mean much because that's all he really does when he's in that Kyuubi Enraged mode anyways. He doesn't have any crazy Biju Rasen Shuriken stuff at the time like he does later in the series. So he pretty much just relies on slapping people to death. And in my opinion, at the time, Naruto's strength is probably greater than Boruto's, depending on how much you give credit to the Karma Seal for boosting physical power. We saw Boruto versus Kawaki, and it seemed like they were powerful. But if I had to take a guess, the way the fight scenes were animated in OG Naruto, showing how Naruto was just demolishing Haku after she was moving at, some say, light speed, it seems like he is more physically powerful. But Boruto obviously just has crazy hacks. The Karma Seal, like I said, he can just teleport people, absorb ninjutsu, all sorts of crazy stuff. But what's crazy is Naruto in this enraged mode, I don't think is as strong as the Naruto that fought Gaara. Like, the fact that he can summon Gamabunta and rival a Biju in base is actually ridiculous. And in this enraged mode, he doesn't really have that level of strength, and at least doesn't have those feats that he does in base. Obviously, like I said, he does beat Haku, which is definitely putting him high Jonin, maybe even low Kage level. But it's really a different kind of strength. Maybe he's physically stronger, but he isn't acting at all strategic, which Boruto, like I said, is. So in my opinion, I think this fight would go down to Boruto sending Naruto to a random Momoshiki dimension and leaving him there. If he was able to do it to Ishiki and catch him off guard, I don't think there is any issue doing it to enraged Naruto from OG Naruto. If you are at all aware of the power scaling in not only Boruto, but also Naruto and the end of Shippuden, you know Ishiki is on a whole nother planet when talking about strength levels to anyone in Naruto. But if you don't like that outcome of Boruto just sending Naruto away, I still think Boruto would have a pretty good chance of just taking Naruto on 1v1. He's obviously stronger than someone like Chunin Exam's Neji, which is another person that Naruto sort of used this Kyuubi Enraged mode on. I will leave it up to you to determine how much of Kurama's chakra that he used in those different situations, but I don't think anyone's going to argue with me that Karma Seal Boruto is way stronger than anyone in that OG Chunin Exams. And like I said, depending on how much credit you give the Karma Seal for boosting physical strength, he may actually be close to OG Naruto's strength. So it's really hard to tell who would outpower who. Boruto would definitely have a better strategy than enraged Kyuubi Naruto would. So I'm just more inclined to give it to Boruto, considering the extra strengths that he does have. But obviously without limiting Boruto's karma powers, he sends Naruto to Momoshiki's dimension 0 diff, and without that ability he probably still wins pretty high difficulty, but that could be argued either way, so I would not be mad if anyone in the comments said, no, I think Naruto Kyuubi would beat Karma Boruto. Like, it could go either way. I could see it both ways, depending on, of course, how high you view Naruto's physical strength versus what the Karma Seal does to physical strength. But the final battle of this video, and the one you guys clicked on this video for, current Hokage Naruto versus Borushiki. And now before we start this is completely based in assumptions and might as well be headcanon, because like I said, in the anime, we have not seen anything from current Naruto without Kurama. We don't know what he is like, how strong he is. So yeah, with that out of the way, we're just going to need to establish how strong we think Naruto is without the Nine Tails. He still has Sage Mode, and I believe he still has his 6th Path Sage Mode, but that may be in contention since he doesn't have all 9 Biju. But for the sake of this argument, I'm just going to assume he still has it. So basically this means he's the Naruto that fought Jubi Madara right after gaining his 6 Paths powers, plus 15 years of experience, and of course without the Nine Tails. So he can still do things like lava-style Rasen Shurikens, which literally cut Madara in half. And this is the same Naruto that revived 8th Gate Guy and did more damage to Madara in a couple seconds than 8th Gate Guy did with the help of multiple Kage level shinobi. So Naruto in his current form should be stronger than characters like One-Eyed Jubi Madara, 8th Gate Guy, Jubito, and literally anyone without 6 Paths powers. Now he's probably weaker than alive full Momoshiki, but Borushiki hasn't really shown anything to prove that he's anywhere near that strength of a full Otsutsuki, but he does have some crazy feats, of course, like making Boro look like absolute fodder and being fast enough to catch Sasuke Uchiha off guard, and then of course fighting Sasuke and Kawaki after snatching Sasuke's Rinnegan. But in all actuality, that last feat may not actually mean much. In fact, it probably works against Borushiki, considering he lost to a drained Kawaki and a Sasuke that was also drained and just had one of his eyes ripped out of his head. In fact, most of Borushiki's feats can kind of be negated by the simple fact that his opponents are always completely drained and on their last leg. Boro was literally about to explode because he was too far out of control, and Sasuke was drained and under the assumption that their fight with Ishiki was completely done. Of course, that doesn't mean Borushiki isn't strong. He definitely is. He hit Sasuke with a vanishing Rasengan, fast enough to dodge everything he threw at him, but his main weakness is that Boruto is always right there, ready to come back to his own consciousness. And since Naruto saw what happened in that fight with Sasuke and Kawaki, he has really all the information he needs to just bring Boruto back to his own consciousness. He just has to make Borushiki absorb some chakra, and Boruto's right back in his own body. And not only does Naruto have the info to bring Boruto back, he's also strong enough to swap hands with base Momoshiki, like the full Momoshiki, in base. So not even counting Sage Mode or even 6 Paths Sage Mode, which we know the type of boost that it gives Naruto. Imagine base Naruto trying to fight Pain, or just Sage Mode Naruto trying to fight One-Eyed Jubi Madara. Like, those boosts in power are absolutely ridiculous, and base Naruto was able to swap hands with full Momoshiki. So Naruto, even in base, probably beats Borushiki, but let's say he needs Sage Mode, and let's even say he needs 6 Paths Sage Mode. It's obvious he would stomp Borushiki without any problem. If I'm being completely honest, I would not be surprised if 6 Paths Sage Mode Naruto would beat the actual Momoshiki, considering what him and Sasuke did to fused Momoshiki after both of them had pretty much half of their chakra drained from them. So yeah, Naruto has all the info he needs to bring Boruto back to his own body, and if he can't do that for some unknown reason, his strength is still way above someone like Borushiki. His base taijutsu is Momoshiki level, maybe a little bit below, but once he gets into Sage Mode, and we don't even really have to mention 6 Paths Sage Mode, it's just a complete mismatch. So if they ever fight in the future, and it seems like it's a close battle, just know it's for the sake of the plot. So if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the like button or subscribing or whatever you really want to do. My next video is going to be Momoshiki versus Kaguya, which I think is actually really interesting. There's a lot of interesting opinions out there on that fight, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.